Shedeur Sanders was seen putting in some work with Jim Tressel.
Jim Tressel was
the senator.
And of course, there was
actually he's a lieutenant governor. But
there was a video shoot, as there is when Shedeur is working out, or any of our quarterbacks are working out these days.
Right.
There's a video shoot.
Everyone remembers what happened during the NFL draft. Shedeur Sanders was expected to hear his name much earlier. Instead, he kept waiting. Round after round, team after team passed on him. By the time Cleveland finally selected him in the 5th round, the conversation wasn't about what he could become, it was about why so many teams said no. But while everyone else spent the offseason talking about the draft, Shedeur quietly made a move that could end up changing that entire conversation. Instead of chasing headlines or posting flashy workout videos every day, he started working with someone who has spent decades building winning football teams, legendary former Ohio State head coach Jim Tressel. And if you're a Browns fan, this might be one of the most important offseason stories that hasn't received nearly enough attention.
Shout out to Boog, because obviously Shedeur is putting in some work, and obviously when you're putting in work with somebody this legendary in the world of football and Jim Tressel, right?
At first, it doesn't seem like the biggest story. Quarterbacks work with trainers every offseason. They throw passes, they post workout clips, fans react for a few days, and then move on. But this situation feels different, because Jim Tressel isn't known for creating viral offseason content. He's known for building disciplined football teams and preparing players to win games. That's why this partnership immediately caught people's attention. Tressel has spent decades teaching players how to think through difficult situations before the ball is even snapped. His teams were always known for playing smart football. They rarely beat themselves with careless mistakes. That's exactly the type of coaching a young quarterback needs as he prepares to enter one of the toughest positions in professional sports.
The head coach, Todd Monken, has made it clear that nothing is resolved and that it will last into training camp as well. Shedeur Sanders, in my understanding, has performed well throughout this offseason.
For months, nearly every discussion surrounding Shedeur focused on one thing: the draft slide. Before the draft, many analysts believed he could hear his name called much earlier. Some projected him as a first-round talent. Others believed he would at least come off the board during the second day. Instead, Cleveland selected him with the 144th overall pick, turning one of college football's most accomplished quarterbacks into one of the biggest talking points of draft weekend. What often gets forgotten is everything he accomplished before that moment. During his college career, Shedeur threw for more than 14,000 yards while completing passes at one of the highest rates in the country. He consistently put up impressive numbers despite playing behind offensive lines that often struggled to protect him. His toughness became one of his defining traits because he kept standing in the pocket and delivering throws even while taking constant hits. None of that seemed to matter once the draft ended. The narrative quickly shifted toward questions about whether NFL teams saw flaws that everyone else had missed. Some questioned his athletic ability. Others questioned his personality. There were endless debates about confidence, leadership, and whether the attention surrounding his last name had affected the way teams evaluated him. Whether those opinions were fair or not, they became the story. Most young quarterbacks would probably respond by trying to answer every criticism. They would give interviews, they would promise to prove people wrong. They would spend the summer talking about motivation. Shedeur has largely taken a different approach. Rather than trying to change opinions with words, he appears focused on changing them with preparation. That's exactly why these sessions with Jim Tressel stand out. According to reports, the emphasis hasn't been on spectacular throws or social media highlights. The focus has been on quarterback fundamentals, footwork, decision-making, reading defenses more quickly, the small details that often separate quarterbacks who survive in the NFL from those who don't.
I was lucky when I came to Ohio State. They had good teams. They had a tough time, but they were kind of looking for an Ohio person.
Yep.
Because Coach Coop was awesome, but he wasn't from Ohio. And you know how people are sometimes. They get a little bit, well, we need one of our own, type things.
Yeah.
And so it was perfect timing.
Jim Tressel's reputation wasn't built because he had the flashiest offense in college football. It was built because his teams consistently played disciplined football. They understood situations. They protected the football. They stayed composed during pressure moments. More often than not, they forced opponents to make mistakes instead of making them themselves. That kind of mindset becomes even more valuable for a rookie quarterback entering the NFL. Talent can get a player drafted. Discipline is what earns playing time. And that's where this offseason becomes interesting. Shedeur isn't walking into Cleveland with a guaranteed opportunity. Every practice matters. Every meeting matters. Every decision made on the field will be closely evaluated by the coaching staff. Nobody inside the Browns building is thinking about where he was projected before the draft. They only care about whether he can help the team win football games. Working with someone like Jim Tressel won't automatically earn him a spot on the depth chart, but it can help him prepare for the moments that decide whether coaches trust a young quarterback. Those moments usually have nothing to do with throwing the longest pass. They're about recognizing defenses, avoiding costly mistakes, staying calm under pressure, and making the correct decision when everything speeds up. Those are the lessons that rarely go viral online. They're also the lessons that often decide NFL careers.
So it looked like the Cleveland Browns has released the first images and videos from today OTAs. Let's jump right into this thing. For this one here, we got to go all the way up to Cleveland. Let's get it. Let's go.
As training camp gets closer, the spotlight will naturally return to the Browns' quarterback competition. Fans will pay attention to every throw, every practice report, and every highlight that surfaces online. But long before those cameras arrive, Shedeur Sanders is already putting in the work behind the scenes. And if these off-season sessions with Jim Tressel accomplish what they're designed to do, the biggest surprise of Shedeur's rookie season may not be where he was drafted. It may be where he ends up. The reality is that Jim Tressel can't make Shedeur Sanders throw harder or run faster. That's not why these workouts matter. What Tressel brings is something much harder to teach: experience, discipline, and a way of thinking that has helped build championship teams for years. When you've coached at the highest level for as long as he has, you start seeing the game differently. Every decision has a purpose. Every mistake has a lesson. Those are the details that can help a young quarterback transition to the NFL.
Something important in team building is for the people who are a part of the team to believe that they have people working with them that are advocates, that are there for them, that care about them. And I don't think we can say it enough when it comes to how do you build an effective team, is that there has to be genuine care and concern.
That's especially important because the NFL is a completely different challenge than college football. In college, talent alone can help you win games. At the professional level, everyone is talented. The difference comes down to who processes information the fastest. Defensive coordinators disguise coverages. Blitzes come from unexpected angles. Passing windows disappear almost instantly. A quarterback has to recognize everything before the ball is even snapped, then adjust again once the play begins. That's why so many successful college quarterbacks struggle during their rookie seasons. It usually isn't because they suddenly forget how to throw a football. It's because the game speeds up faster than they expect. Learning how to stay calm while making split-second decisions is one of the hardest parts of becoming an NFL quarterback. Those are exactly the areas where someone like Jim Tressel can make an impact. Reports surrounding their off-season work have suggested the focus isn't on creating highlight reel throws, but on improving the fundamentals that matter once training camp begins. Footwork, timing, reading defenses, staying disciplined under pressure. Those aren't the most exciting things to watch on social media, but they're often what separate quarterbacks who last in the NFL from those who don't. The timing of these workouts also couldn't be better. Training camp is where reputations start to change. What happened during the draft no longer matters. Coaches aren't interested in mock drafts or pre-draft rankings. They care about one thing: can you help this football team win? Every practice becomes an evaluation. Every meeting matters. Every throw is graded. One strong day can move a player up the depth chart, while one bad stretch can quickly create doubts. That's the reality of competing in the NFL, especially at quarterback. For Shedeur, this is the opportunity he's been waiting for. The questions about why he slipped in the draft will always exist, but he can't answer those questions with interviews. He can only answer them on the field. That's why this offseason has been about preparation instead of talking. Every workout is another chance to become a better quarterback before the real competition begins. The Browns' coaching staff also isn't looking for someone who can make one spectacular throw. They're looking for consistency. They want a quarterback who can make the correct read over and over again, someone who protects the football, manages the offense, and earns the trust of everyone in the building. Those qualities don't always show up in highlight videos, but they're the reasons some quarterbacks earn opportunities while others don't.
But in the streets, they call him Mr. Make It Catchable. See, there's something called a catchable ball, layering the ball between it. Look, man, you can call it a duck when you want to. Shedeur know when to put that velocity on it.
Another thing worth noticing is the way Shedeur has handled this entire offseason. After everything that happened during the draft, many players would have spent months trying to prove people wrong through interviews or social media. Instead, he spent most of his time working. That's exactly the response coaches want to see, because the NFL is full of players who faced setbacks early in their careers. The ones who succeed usually respond the same way. They keep improving instead of making excuses. That doesn't mean the road ahead will be easy. The Browns have a competitive quarterback room, and nothing will be handed to him. Every player is fighting for opportunities. Every player believes they belong. Shedeur still has to earn the trust of his coaches and teammates every single day. But that's also what makes this story so interesting. Instead of focusing on everything that happened in April, he's preparing for what comes next. Working with Jim Tressel won't guarantee him a starting job. It won't automatically change how people view him, but it gives him another opportunity to learn from one of football's most respected coaches before the biggest challenge of his career begins. As training camp gets underway, the spotlight will once again shift to competition. Fans will analyze every practice report. Every preseason drive will be picked apart. Every throw will be compared. That's simply part of being a quarterback in today's NFL. But long before those moments arrive, the work is already being done behind the scenes. That's where players build confidence. That's where habits are formed. And sometimes, that's where careers quietly begin to change. Shedeur Sanders can't change where he was drafted. That chapter is already written. What he can change is everything that happens after it. And if the lessons he's learning from Jim Tressel start showing up once the games begin, the NFL may soon realize that the biggest story wasn't how far Shedeur Sanders fell. It was how prepared he became once he got there.